Hello and welcome to the next episode of The Conscious Female Founder. I am your host, Sally Tarbox. I am the proud owner of this podcast and YouTube channel. I am also the proud owner of a company called The Empowerment Movement, where I help other entrepreneurs increase their passive income streams into their business. I'm also a mindset coach. I've had the great honor of appearing on Fox TV out in the States for my business achievements, and I'm also a best-selling international author. Today, though, I am super excited to be sat down with Marina Aspinall. She is an absolutely incredible lady. She came over from South Africa in, I think, 1996 with not much money in her pocket, but with a dream and goals and aspirations. And she is now the owner of the beauty company 𝐁𝐸𝐻. I am so excited to be sat down with her today. One of the things that really struck me when we met was you said something to me. I think it was one of the conversations we had where you said, you know what, I love working with the ladies that I work with, but one of the things I want to bring out in them is their natural beauty and the ability to stand strong in how they look and how they feel. And I just thought that was so inspiring. I was like, I really, really like that. I really hope my daughter one day comes into contact with someone like you where she can feel proud of herself in her own body, and you just want to be able to enhance that for her. So thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I know there's so much to your backstory. I've given like a really high level overview, so take this moment to obviously introduce yourself properly, but thank you so much for sitting down with me today and sharing a bit about your story.
No worries. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me, Sally.
No problem.
You are the one that inspires us to all look and feel, and you look good, you feel good, you're obviously very positive. Love chatting to positive people, because I always think we have so much negative self-talk and everything, don't we? So yeah, it's good to all help each other out, and
Amazing. So you came over from South Africa in 1996. You'd studied in therapy and beauty beforehand, hadn't you? But you kind of, I feel like when we were talking, you were like, it kind of sounded like you came on a bit of like a whim, like street pants, let's do this. I don't want to be in South Africa anymore. I want to be in the UK. You didn't know what direction you were going in, but you obviously had goals and aims. And so just explain a little bit, I guess, like a high level overview of what your story looks like.
Yeah, nutshell it, you mean? So basically, I studied in South Africa, but as a child, we traveled a lot. My dad was in the diamond industry, so we traveled a lot. So ended up going back to South Africa as a young teenager, finished school, went to college, didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, like most people. And so I ended up studying beauty. I did a 3-year course in Johannesburg, qualified, really started enjoying it, found myself a little job, and then earned a little bit of money, but not great money. I mean, it was just pocket money. Still lived with my parents, was in a long-term relationship, well, at that age, if you can call it that. But yeah, I was in quite a serious relationship. And then when that ended, I decided I have got to do something more with my life. I can't, and obviously from when we were young, the travel bug was there, so I madly jumped on a plane, the backpack, a couple of quid in my pocket. Took me a while to get all my I sold my car and everything. It took me a while to get all my visas sorted and stuff, but back in the day it was quite easy to get like a working holiday visa. So I did that and literally just came here with little money, nowhere to stay, and not even a job. So people today just organize their lives so much better than I did back in the day. I just literally did the whole random thing and just jumped on the plane, waved goodbye to everybody, thinking in the back of my head, oh, I'll be back in about a year or so, just to go and see the world and come back. And 29 years later and I'm still here. But came over here, did a bit of work, found, just did like temp work and things, found quite a good job for myself, made a bit of money and traveled, and then ended up meeting my husband, not my husband at the time, but partner, and got married and had some children, and ended up just staying and staying and staying and staying, and got to a point where I worked in a few different sectors of this industry, the beauty industry, but just thought to myself, while I've got my children, young, and it's the best thing I can do is work from home, make a bit of money for myself, some pocket money, help out with some bills and things like that, and then just see how it goes. And yeah, we've now got 20 years later and I'm still in the business. But yeah, I've now obviously done myself a favor of I started my own business from a little bedroom in my house and just took it from there. And yeah, it's going really well, shall I say. I've expanded and expanded and expanded, moved from a different premises to another, bigger and better. Got a few members of staff now, which is great. But yeah, it's going really well, Sally, especially, you know, a lot of businesses didn't do very well in after COVID, you know, and all that kind of lockdown stuff. So many businesses closed down. So many people didn't really have anything sort of left, you know. So I think I was lucky enough. I had a very kind landlord who didn't charge us much rent when it was lockdown times. I did a lot of live streams, skin treatments, things like that. I just try to keep busy, make money, help people. I did online consultations for people, just for skincare and things like that, because I think my main passion is skin. I do other treatments, laser, hair removal, that sort of thing. But yeah, my main passion has always been skincare. You know, I focus on how to do it from a very basic all the way to a very advanced sort of treatment. Yeah, and I help everybody from sort of age 12 onwards, upwards, you know. So yeah, and here I am still.
Yes, one of the big things that struck me about you is like, absolutely, like, yeah, your story, there's definitely been parts of your story that we've obviously talked about privately that haven't been particularly easy, but you've always kind of kept it stepping forward. There's never been, you very much strike me as a person that once your vision and your goals are in place, you just keep it moving. And like all of us, I appreciate that life will sucker punch and kick us all in the gut. It will take us all out when we're not expecting it. But you're very much one of those women in life that just keeps it moving forward. Like, you know what you want to do, you're passionate about something, and that has paid off, like, in fruition, because 29 years later, after moving here on an absolute whim and thinking, actually, you know what, in 6 months I'll go home, 29 years later, you're actually running a really successful business. You've built up an amazing clientele. You now have people working for you. Actually, like, you've just kept putting, almost like doing the small changes, the small progress every single day. And now, all this time later, the compound effect has kicked in, and you can sit there and be like, do you know what? I grafted my way through this. It hasn't been easy at times, but I've built something really quite special and something that I've nurtured along the way. And that's one of the biggest things that struck me about you, was like, I love that, because that's inspiring.
Thank you.
Just kept going, even when it hasn't been easy.
Gosh,
and you must have had to pivot, like you said, like during COVID, like you had to think outside the box. Obviously, we got sucker punched by that. You thought outside the box, but you were like, I'm just going to keep going. Like,
there's been days where I've had to drag myself out of bed.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy when the kids are young, because you have to multitask, and you have to obviously drag them up first, kicking and screaming some days. Luckily, I have to say, without bragging too much, my two have been, they're really good, easy kids. I've struck it lucky with them too.
Struck the jackpot. You're like,
they've had their moments, like,
of course, every kid does.
You know, they've been so good and so helpful, and I think I manifested that in them from a very young age. I have literally, I looked at them in the mornings and I'm like, don't mess me around. Let's get up and let's get going, because I haven't got time for this. Mummy hasn't got time for this. So yeah, I think for me, just going back to childhood, maybe, I think so many things come from childhood, and I think the reason I've had the power and the strength to persevere and see it all through, and on the really dark, deep, you know, horrible, bad days, you just got to I sit myself up in the mornings and I just say, do you know what? I am healthy.
Yes.
I am strong, I am loved, I'm cared for, I can show kindness and empathy and trust in other people, and I believe in myself, and I have to do it.
Yes.
I just have to do it. I've got to get up and go, because if I don't, nobody else is going to do it for me. I also live here on my own. My whole family still live back in South Africa. A lot of my South African friends have a mum or a dad or sisters or cousins here. I have nobody. I have a few South African friends, but they're not even authentically South African friend, that I made there, or school friends. They're all people that I met here in my time here. But I've been here longer now than I have in South Africa, so I'm a little bit more English now than I like to admit. But anyway, so yeah, I think a lot of it comes from, I said to friends of mine the other day, a lot of how we go through life comes from how you're brought up, definitely. And if it doesn't matter how much money you have, or how how much you've traveled, or what you look like, or where you come from, what your background is, it's if you are actually truly loved and appreciated by your family. And it's so important, and I don't think everybody understands it fully. I find so many people here, just not here necessarily, but in the world, have families close by. They don't all connect all the time. I have family. We are so close. We always support each other. We don't support each other financially, but we support each other mentally, emotionally, all those things. We talk, we discuss, we understand. Sometimes we don't say much, but we still know. My sister and I have a really good connection. I sometimes don't phone her for a few weeks in a row, and then she goes, "Where have you been? Why are you so quiet?" And then I'll say, "Do you know what? I've just been really in a really shitty, bad place, really feel down. I feel demotivated. I just feel like I want to sleep all the time. A little bit of depression sets in, and you think, I've got to get myself out of that negative mindset." And then she says, "It's so funny. I've been feeling exactly the same, and I can feel how you feel, and vice versa, because we are super close. There's three of us, and the three of us are so close." And I think because we traveled a lot as children, we kind of only ever had each other to depend on at times. And they were really good times, but there were some difficult times as well, making new friends, and at school, new schools all the time, and that sort of thing. So I think it is all just from childhood, and I've just kept motivating myself and getting up in the mornings.
You've touched on so many incredible points there. One of the first ones for me was the fact that it's like, when you said it's kind of like it's in a mindset, right? That it's like, even on the days when you feel really, really low or whatever, and you're not in a great place, you still kind of get up, you still say, "Do you know what? I'm here, I'm blessed, I'm grateful, I'm healthy. Okay, let's go." And I think that is so important. And obviously, as a mindset coach myself, and that's what I train other people in, it's so important to kind of be able to count those blessings, even when they are the smallest thing. Just to, and I appreciate, when you're in a really, really low, dark place, it's really hard to do that. Like, it really fucking is. Like, it's really hard to be able to do that. But to be able to do that shows incredible strength, absolutely incredible strength. And like you said, then you're really blessed with your children, but actually this is coming from you. And the way you're thinking will have a huge effect on them. So that was one of the big points. I was like, this is so important. But also to recognize, like you said, you know what, like, you've been in really dark, low situations. It's same here, like personally, behind the scenes, and to be able to kind of set your mindset up in a way where you're like, I can still do this. Like, no one else is going to save me. There is no one coming to save me. I have to do this on my own. And I think that is a real testament of what you've created, like 29 years or however many years later.
And I now talk to so many people that are in such a similar situation, people that kind of almost need rescuing or talking to, but they don't really have anywhere to go or anyone to talk to. I mean, I am that low budget shrink, I think.
I bet you are. As a beauty therapist, I bet you are.
Yeah, but I've also realized over the years that my experience is so different to everybody else's, and unless you walk in that person's footsteps exactly, you can't judge or help. Even I think for me, I don't always try and help people, because help is really a professional. I think, you know, if someone needs real help, you kind of need to point them in the right direction, go, well, there's nothing here I can, you know, nothing I can do for you. But just sometimes talking through something, communication to me is like the world. I love, you know, just talking it through, starting from scratch, figuring it out, and then going, okay, there has to be a way out of this. There has to be. I've made so many different little plans in my head, in my life. I've had to count the pennies to make things work, you know, and it's me. I like supporting people in that now, because I think, because I've been there, I understand it really well. And I think it just comes from a place of not judging people on what they do, how they do it, what they wear, you know. I just don't care. And I think the older I'm getting, the more sort of prevalent that's become, you know. Look, I just really don't care what people bring to the table. I have no filter, and I have I don't actually care what they say. I can really take it all and face it all. I hear some deep things, and sometimes I go, oh gosh, I don't really know if I'm the right person, you know, to talk to about this, but go ahead, you know, let me hear it, and let's start, you know. But I think for me, it's like I always bring a little bit of positive and maybe a little bit of a light-hearted approach to it all as well, because some people sometimes just need to relax and have a little laugh and completely unwind, and then they go, do you know what, actually life isn't that bad. I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, it's difficult. Life is not easy, is it?
It's not. It's 100% not. But then I think you're a testament to your own story, because you haven't had it easy all the way through. Like you really haven't. So the fact that then when people come to you, you're a testament for what you're preaching, right? Because you can sit there and be like, you can obviously sit and listen to someone and sympathize with them and come from a deeper level of understanding, but then give them a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of help or a little bit of guidance. I mean, like, like what you were saying, like you kind of feel like a low cost therapist as well at the same time. Like they come in for a treatment.
I might start charging more for those sessions.
They come in for a treatment. But actually I think sometimes like and I've probably done
sorry.
That's all right. All right. I've probably done exactly the same thing. It's almost like you kind of enter what feels like a safe space, and it all comes out, and you're the person that it's coming out to.
Yes.
But I think that's,
and you know, I don't mind that, because I think that's part of my job, and I understand that as part of my job. I actually expect people to come and tell me, you know. I think the hardest thing for me, and I think I speak for all the people in this very industry, we talk about this a lot when we're at conferences and things like that. The hardest thing is for you to then at the end of the day sit down and go, actually, as someone listened to me, I have been listening to everybody and giving everybody advice. Do I practice what I preach? Do I actually listen to myself? Am I still authentic? You know, that sort of thing. Because I think it's so easy to mold yourself to what other people want to see or want to hear, but you still got to be yourself, you know. And just, I think I understand myself quite well, and I think that's really important. I think if you understand where you come from, what your you know, your intellectual capabilities and capacity is, I think there's so much you can do with it. There's a limit to everything, isn't there? You can you can't take everything that's on your plate all the time. So I have to sometimes take a step back and go,
absolutely,
Marina, it's time for yourself now, because I take on board what everybody tells me, but I don't always go away and give myself a little break and, you know, a little bit of me time and away time. And it's time to, you know, sort of go to a spa, have a week away, do this, do that. Because you get especially being a mum, you know, you get mum mode. Mum mode is just like, right, it's go, it's the shopping, it's the cleaning, it's the washing, it's this, it's that. Then it's work, then it's house, and then it's relationships, friendships, all that kind of stuff. So, and everything, my kids moan about 2 or 3 things, and I'm like, well, you know, this is what I have to do. I have got da 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 to do. And then they sometimes sit back and go, Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm not going to complain.
You're not getting married anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Amazing. Just to take it a couple of steps back. So obviously once you kind of came over here, obviously you had your kids and you decided in that particular moment like to take a bit of a jump and to set up your own business. How did that feel for you? Because I know I come into contact with a lot of women that obviously want to take a jump at some point. Like they know that something maybe isn't quite working or it looks different because they've had a family or whatever. What did it take for you to take that jump? Like and what did that look like for you? I guess what I'm kind of getting at is like that takes a lot of confidence to do. It takes a lot of confidence, a lot of self-belief, and a lot of just keeping it moving, keeping it stepping forwards. But how did you feel in that particular moment? Was there a shift or what happened for you?
Do you know what? 100%. But I think my story is pretty different to other people because, well, not to this might sort of resonate with some people. But for me, I got to a point where I had my kids. Obviously, I worked in London. I had a few other really, really good jobs. I was making a nice bit of money. Then I felt pregnant and I was like, what am I going to do with myself? What am I going to do with my life? I can't go into London every day for 12 hours a day and not see my baby because there's nobody else here that can help me. I don't have a mom or a dad or a family that can have and I can't afford full-time childcare. So I think that was a massive thing in my head and it played on my mind. And I did think to myself, I am so lucky to be in this industry that you can actually work for yourself.
Yeah.
I think when I started my business, it wasn't as easy as it is now. Now it's everybody has a shed in their back garden and they set up their business. A lot of people are just self-employed and doing lashes and brows and this and that and the other, and it's great. And it's easier to do and it's easy if your parents are there to support you and but I think for me it was a little bit of a fight for survival. I got up, I was lying in bed one day and I thought to myself, I have to just do this, start a business. I found a little room in a hair salon and I thought the rent's pretty affordable. I'm going to have to find a little bit of cash to buy a few bits of equipment. A very, very good friend of me kindly helped me out at that time. Borrowed a couple of quid from her. And I literally bought my equipment. I set it up the way I wanted it. The room was crappy, to be honest, but it did the trick.
You started. You took the jump. You started.
Absolutely. For me, in my head, it was like, it's this or nothing, because I don't actually know what the hell else I'm going to do with my life. So, I never see my kids grow up, So I did it. And I'm very proud of myself today because I think I don't give myself enough credit. My clients and my friends and everybody, they always say, Marina, look where you are today from, where you
That's what I'm saying.
And I just feel like for me to inspire other people to do this is sometimes a little bit difficult because I do think I'm not always very positive about having your own business because Sally, it is hard. It is hard. You have to do things that you've never done before.
At the beginning, you have to be everything. You
have to be your own secretary, your own marketing manager, your own spokesperson. You're the face of the business. Like I always say, you're front and back office. Your front of house and your back. You have to do everything. That's probably coming from somebody that started with not a lot of money. I think if you have a little bit more and you can employ people and you can delegate, great, and I'm happy for you. But I do think when you start from scratch and you build it and you dig dig, you'll get there in the end. But I do think for me, it's taking that initial leap is everything. And there are days where you think, honestly, you doubt yourself so much. You think, have I done the right thing? Why am I doing this to myself? Maybe I still get days now. I'm 55 and I still get days now.
This is the truth though, right?
Where I literally go, do you know what? not doing this anymore.
Yeah,
I
can't
am
do
not
it.
going to do it anymore. I'm going back. I'm going to find employment, and I'm just going to have the easy road. And then I think to myself, that's just a moment of craziness sometimes. And then I think to myself, do you know what? Stop. Look where you are. Look what you've done. Look where you come from. Look what you've been through, and just go back and tick those boxes and go, I can carry on. I can actually carry on, take a break and carry on. But yeah, I think for me, if people do ask me, where do I start? It is, do yourself a mini, don't go and do the crazy long business plan that takes 3 months to do. Do yourself a little mini sketch of what you want to do and where you want to be in a year's time from now. Not the 5-year plan. 5-year plan doesn't always work for everybody.
Yeah.
For me, it's the big elephant, you know, like, how do you eat that elephant? You've got to just take tiny chunks every day and eat it and work with it, and, you know, just get on with it. But yeah, I mean, how did you start, Sally? I mean, we all start somewhere, don't
Exactly.
we?
Yeah, literally, probably really similar to you. Like, I felt like my back was up against the wall. Like, I wanted to create change in my life, exactly like you said, right? And it was a sense of like not knowing where to start. You honestly sometimes don't know how to put each foot in front of the other, but you just do. And it takes you down so many different routes, and you come in contact with so many different people that you never, ever, ever thought you'd come into contact with. But you just almost like you said, you kind of just take one bite at a time and you figure it out. And don't get me wrong, do not get me wrong, the mistakes I've made along the way in some of my businesses have been wild. Like, I have, but I've learned from every single one of them. And that's why I love doing what I do now, because I can just take someone else's hand and be like, do you know what? I'm so many steps ahead of you, and I can teach you how to do this. I can teach you how to recreate this. I can teach you all the mistakes that I've done and how you're not going to do them, and how we're going to just reframe your mindset for success. And I think
that, you know, the difference between you and me, Sally, is you are actually an entrepreneur at heart. You are.
Yeah, for sure.
I can tell when I met you first. I can tell. I am not actually a natural entrepreneur. I am not. I've had to teach myself how to be that and how to get there. I still struggle. I still have days where I feel demotivated, and do you know what? I'm gonna just shut the laptop and not do anything today. And then I think, but I can't. I have my own business. I've got stuff to do. I've got this and that to do. I've got to, you know, get to the accountants. I've got to, and then I think, how am I going to motivate myself to do this today? So I also know that certain people are better followers than they are leaders. I'm a great follower. Give me a task, and I shall do it, and I will do it 100% perfect. I don't do it unless I do it well. So yeah, we all make mistakes, but I think some people, and I think that's quite important to almost figure out if you really are that entrepreneurial person or not, because I do think a lot of people start businesses and they fail because their leadership, maybe, you know, their confidence, their self-belief, and that isn't always in place. Stuff you can learn. Again, you can do you can read so many amazing books and listen to great podcasts and inspirational things around motivational things. But yeah, I do think some people are just better off working for someone than on their own.
You hit a nail on the head there. Like, it's to do with self-worth as well, right?
Massively.
Because yes, you still get the days where you get up and you're like, oh my God, I've got so much to do and I don't have the motivation to do it. But equally at the same time, like you said, like when your back was up against the wall, when you had your child and you were like, I've just got to keep it moving. Like, it's got to, and there's something within you that I think is very inbuilt within you that has that mindset and that ability to be like, I've just got to keep going. I've got to keep going because I'm going to figure it out. Like you said, you don't feel like a natural entrepreneur, but actually you probably are, but you're just somebody that is just very much laser focused, that knows her self-worth. I just got to keep going. But to be able to take those moments out as well and be like, do you know what? I need to give myself some love now. Like, I've taken all this stuff on and I've kept it going, which is so easy to do. But actually I need to take moments out now too as well.
Yeah, I think the self-worth in me comes from, it definitely was instilled as a child,
which is amazing,
from parents, you know, saying always complimentary of how we are, you know, even if you weren't the best at everything, or they were still there supporting you, motivating you, and just loving you, you know, for who you are. And I think that to me is what I try and give other people too. Like, I am definitely the cliche, if you want, people person. I do love being around people. I sometimes think, oh, I need a people break. I can't deal with people anymore. I can't talk anymore. I can't listen anymore. 2 days later, I'm like, oh, who can I phone? Who can I chat to? What can I say? Why wasn't anyone texted me? You know, sort of thing. I do switch off sometimes. I switch all my tech off, and I just like, oh,
good for you.
Need to sleep. The older you get, the more that menopause creeps in. Dare we say the word? Because that's a whole nother 7. That's a whole nother subject. So the more that sort of old age creeps in, you know, older, you become a little bit more don't care and more confident. It's I think the young girls really struggle, and I think that's a whole nother story. But I do work with a lot of younger girls. Their parents bring them here. We have a nice chat. I think the experience with my teenagers have helped me, but also my parents with me. We've always had a very open relationship. A lot of people say to me, how do I talk to my kids about skincare or relationships or contraception or you know, whatever, STDs? How do I discuss this with my children? And I'm like, do you know what? I have the personality and I have the relationship with my kids to just literally say to them, guys, here's a picture. This is what's going to happen. It's going to drop off if you do this, you know. So I'm pretty, and I do also think maybe that is, again, not trying to stereotype this, but it is a South African outlook. We are very blunt, open, sort of, you know, we openly say how we feel. If you want to turn up at someone's house, you go. It's your prerogative. You just knock on their door and go in, invite yourself in, you know. It's just how we roll. And I think I've probably always had that. I was brought up that way, so I've brought that with me here, and I think people feel that they can come in and do that. But yeah, I have to say it can be tough at times, because communication isn't always, you don't wake up in the morning feeling, oh, I just want to chat to everybody all day. Sometimes you want a nice quiet day. But I think my environment here, I've established a very easygoing, very chill. It's not tense. It's not like some clinics you walk into and you are, oh my gosh, where do I sit? Am I
almost like you feel inferior the second you walk in.
Oh my gosh, massively. I hate that. Don't you hate going somewhere and you think,
it's almost like I feel like I don't fit in here straight away, and then you kind of have to clock yourself and be like, I'm human like everybody else, like I deserve to be here too. But it's that's mindset thing.
Imposter syndrome kicks in, right?
100%.
massively. I'm so chill with that sort of thing, but I still go into places thinking, it's almost like walking into Chanel in Bond Street and you think, I know I haven't got the money to buy this. I shouldn't be here. I'm totally imposing on their, you know, and they've looked at you going,
they look at you,
she definitely can't afford this. But I try never, ever, ever to let anybody that comes into my environment feel like that. And I think I've totally nailed it. You know, I really have. And people phone me now and go, can you have, you know, can you see my teenager for this? And I'm like, yeah. And they come afterwards, the teenager goes home or the young person goes home and they go, Mom, I have to cleanse my skin. I have to use a moisturizer. And Marina said, if I don't use sun protection, she's never going to speak to me again, sort of thing. So I need to get the stuff, or I need to go and buy it, and the mum phones me or texts me and says, how did you do that?
Yeah.
How in the world did you ever do that? My kid has never listened to me. They've never. So it's just the way you approach it, I think. But I mean, it's always true. Your kids listen to everybody else, but never to yourself. You know.
Yeah. You're so. I love you so much because you're so modest in what you're saying. But actually, you're creating something here that is so special. And this is why when one of the first conversations we had, I was like, I love this lady so much, because you're creating such a safe space for people or girls or teenagers or whoever to be able to show up as themselves.
Yeah, massively.
They can just show up as themselves.
Yeah.
And I think this is so important in the era we're living in at the moment.
Yeah.
Where teenagers are, the mental health crisis that's going on with teenagers and social media and stuff like that. Because and it breaks my heart. But I look at people like you and I'm like, this is why I find you so inspiring, because I hope one day my daughter will come into contact with someone like you, at whatever age that looks like, and you will provide her with this safe space to show up as herself. And all you're doing is just bringing out the natural beauty in that child or that person.
Yeah. It's all about choosing
themselves, and that is why I'm like, I find you so inspiring.
Choosing the right role models. I say this to my daughter all the time. If you feel someone is doing something or saying something that does not sit right with you in your gut, why hang out with them? Why be around them? Don't be rude. Don't say what you really think to their faces, because that might be hurtful too. So be kind and just distance yourself and walk away slowly but surely. It's the best advice, because some people feel so forced and so to stay in relationships, to stay in sort of toxic situations where they should just go, you know, literally just work your way out and go in a kind way. But I think that's the role model thing. Amazing. Massively. I definitely think so.
Amazing.
Choose your role models properly and hang out with like-minded people, but also inspirational people, motivational people. I've been in situations for long periods of time where I've been in relationships or, you know, work environment that's not necessarily the most inspirational.
You know it's not right in your gut, don't you?
Yes. And I always try and find other people that I can then hang out with or understand or listen to, or it's good. I have amazing support too now, you know. I have amazing friends, I have to say. I've made my friends my family almost. Don't see them enough because I work very hard. Probably don't spend enough time with my closest buddies, but I try. We phone, we text, we keep in contact. And the one thing I've learned in life is your true friends are the people that, if you haven't seen them or spoken to them for 6 months, a year, 5 years, which is the case with me with so many of my South African friends, I don't see them for a long period of time. Yet the minute I go back, feels like home. It's easy, it's open, it's like it's like we saw each other yesterday. So I think I've surrounded myself with people like that here too. Like I purposely have probably drawn those people in and kept
you will have done 100%. You will have attracted them. Yeah. And this is why I find you so truly inspiring, because I'm like, you have created your own story. Like you've been very set in what you wanted to achieve, like whether it be in business, whether it be in friendships, relationships with your children. And that's why I find you so inspiring, because you have created something that's so incredibly special. And then what you're doing now is you're paying it forward to the people that come into your salon, to the people that come into your setting. And that's why for me, I wanted to share your story, because I'm like, this is an inspiring lady who hasn't had it easy at times, but she's so laser focused on what she wants to create in her own personal life, in her private life, but equally within her business. And that is why I'm like, I am here for you. I am a supporter, a huge supporter of you. I
think importantly, the most important thing about that is that I haven't always been like this. You know, it's great to say that after you become successful, or it's great to then go, oh, you know, look at me, I've done that. But I've not always had this vision or felt the way I do now. I've had times where I was like, I'm giving up, I'm going back home. You know, had it not been for my children, I think being born in England and you know, kind of going to school here and all having the education stuff here, I probably would have gone back a long time ago. But it's been good. Like, I don't think I would have been able to create. I do think about this quite a lot. I don't know if I would have been able to create the same sort of environment and business over there that I did here.
Yeah.
I gel with English people quite well, with everybody really.
You do that.
I think because I have lived abroad as well. As a child, I lived abroad, and I kind of never really saw myself as just one person in one place. It's always been so many different people in the world and from so many different, so I don't go, oh, I won't work with this nationality or that religion. For me, it's all just see what it, I so inclusive. Like,
I love that.
Especially in England, you can't get away from it. It's definitely so diverse here, and there's so many different things. And then obviously, not going into it too much, but there's so many different gender specifications now, and things that have changed so much over the last few years. For me, that's still a learning curve. I'm not going to lie. I'm old school, so I still think, okay, that's new. I need to research that and see where that's come from.
I love that you have that openness to your mindset, though, and again, that is so within you, within your personality, where you literally open the door to anyone and you're like, okay, like, I want to learn about you, I want to learn how I can help you. You are utterly amazing. You honestly are. Like,
it's not that good. It's not that good. I can be a real bitch as well. I do have days where
we all have days. We all have days where real life women. We all have days where we're like, I'm sorry, shut the door on everybody.
I think it's just try and find people that inspire you. Try and find and motivate you. Do the right, go down the right sort of pathway of what it is you want to do. Tick the boxes. Don't take the easy way out, because it always backfires. I've tried easy ways out. I've bought cheap equipment. I've done cheap courses. I've done the easy way out. It always backfires. You always end up paying again for something that's better, or something that's not sort of that false economy. It's definitely worth spending the money on education if you can, the right sort of equipment, the right mindset. I think when you do that, you also meet people along that pathway that helps you, that's on the same sort of journey as you. But I
amazing.
you've got to understand yourself before you start your own business. Definitely, you've got to have your support system, your network, and you've got to really want to do it. I think a lot of people start a little business thinking, it's going to go great, and then they're going to be easy, give up the ghost halfway through, don't they? Because the money's not coming in, or whatever. But it's all very interesting. It's
thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. Like, I really do find you inspiring. I think what you're creating, or what you've created, is just so truly authentic, because I really do hope that if my daughter ever goes to someone like you, she will be able to walk into an environment where she feels completely safe to be able to show up as herself, and she comes into contact with many people like you in life that just want to be able to create that safe environment for my daughter and myself as well, right, to show up as who we are. So I highly respect you, and I am highly grateful that you are in your own little slice of the world just doing this for other people, and you are paying it forward. One of my last questions, which I kind of think you've maybe answered in a little bit of a roundabout way. If you could look back to like your 29-year-old kind of year ago self and give her one piece of advice, so like if she had that moment of kind of like feeling like, or a moment where you felt a little bit like your back is up against the wall, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give yourself, whether that be in mindset, whether that be in business, of how to kind of just keep it moving forward? Like, what would be the thing that you would say to yourself all those years ago?
Oh, that's a deep question, because I think about that all the time. And I think the one thing that I always come back to is, I think a lot of us think like this. It's, if only I did stuff when I was younger, if only I took that leap then, if only I bought that piece of equipment, I could have been. To me, it's like, if you have that gut feeling that it's going to work for you, and if it's going to make, you know, do it. Yeah. Just do it. And I wish my advice to myself would be, because you can always sit around and go, oh, if only I knew then what I know now. But that's not how natural progression goes. You know, you learn as you go. I definitely would have taken a few more leaps, a few more, you know, sort of, I don't know, risks, if I say that. I'm not very risque person. I don't really go out and if I don't have the money, I don't shop. You know, I literally live within my means and stuff. So I think I would want to be a little bit more risky.
Take the jump. Make the
definitely.
Jump. When your gut is telling you to make the jump, don't overthink it, make the jump and you'll work it out.
Absolutely. And sometimes I don't sit and think about it too much, but there are a few poignant key points in my life where I think, if only I did that. Yeah. And I think sometimes we worry too much about the small things. We sweat the small things. Oh, where am I going to get the money from? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying do anything stupid, people, but, you know, I do think there are, if you trust and believe in yourself enough, then that shouldn't be a massive risk. Yeah. You should just do it, you know. And I think that would be my advice looking back. I'm a procrastinator, and I would say if you can ban procrastination from your life, it would be the best thing ever. Yeah. You know, I'll do the washing tomorrow, and then you think, but I haven't got that white shirt that I need. Yeah, that sort of thing. I just think we all procrastinate. I don't think it's like to a certain level. There's people that just, or I always feel like there are people that just do things all the time, and I look at them and I get a little bit jealous, and I'm like, why can't I be such a go getter and a doer and I get stuff done. Yeah.
Well, look at you today. I think you've got a lot done.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment to look at that.
And again, I think I don't give myself enough credit. I wish I could give myself enough credit, more credit, not, you know, but a little bit more. And I think you should always write down what you've achieved. Yes. And you should look at it and you should go, okay, wow. This is me. This has been my life. Life is short. Life is, and live like we live in the past, don't we? Or the present. We do. And I mean, so many people preach to us every day, live in the present, live in the present. But actually really understanding what that means, which I'm not going to explain today, but you can if you want to. But finding that really, that breathing space today, giving yourself the best day that you can every single day is tough, isn't it? It's a tough.
Yeah, tomorrow is not guaranteed, unfortunately.
No, I know. It's a tough one, actually. Yeah. But I think I've not just inspired myself. I've had a lot of people. I've got great clients that I talk to. And I sometimes think if they're having a tough time, then shit, I'm actually still surviving and I'm still here and I'm still making it work. If they're having a tough time, surely I should be having a tough time too, because they're much stronger than me. Yeah. But I think your strength always comes from where you are in life and within, and people can pick up on it.
They 100% can.
Definitely.
Bless you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sally. No, it was lovely chatting.
Thank you so much for joining me today. You are an absolute inspiration. You honestly are. I will.
So are you, Sally.
Thank you. Thank you, my darling.
It just has to go. You know, we've all gone through our bits, haven't we?
Yeah, perfect.
That's life.
Keep it moving.
Nice.
Thank you, my darling. I will drop all your details in the links below if anybody wants to reach out to you, if they've got questions or they want to come see you locally. So thank you for joining me. And
no worries.
I am so grateful for you.
Lovely
my darling.
Chatting.
Take care, sweetheart.
Bye. Bye.